Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 13 of the Ladies Wot Pod. And the observant amongst you will notice we have a friend with us today. Welcome, Teddy. Yeah, and Phil Gutteridge. And, of course, my partner in crime, the lovely Lis Saunders.
Hi,
my name's Claire Jones. I'm in Cambridgeshire as usual. Lis, where are you?
I'm in, I was going to say, sunny South Northampton.
You forgot where you live.
I've forgotten where I was now. I was just checking the weather. It's not particularly sunny, but it's not snowing. So I'm in South Northamptonshire, just south of Costa del Toaster. So, yeah.
Costa del Toaster. And welcome Phil Gutteridge of the Northampton Saints Wheelchair Rugby team, and Teddy, who seems to have wandered off.
He's here.
And Teddy. And Teddy, yes, keen Ladies Wot Pod listener, we understand.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So welcome, Phil. And this is going to be a series of guests that we're going to have during the Six Nations period. And whilst the Saints aren't playing in either the Gallagher Premiership or Europe, we still call it Europe, don't we, Liz?
We do.
Oh, I do.
We do. Well, we're ignoring South Africa.
Because we're ignoring South Africa, yes. So, welcome, Phil.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here and I'm honoured to be your first guest.
Thank you. Yes.
You don't know what we're going to ask you yet. So, but we'll try and be nice, gentle, well-ish. So we've drawn up some
security.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
You're right. That dog is a media tart. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect for this pod. Absolutely perfect for this pod.
So the first thing we want to know, Phil, so that our listeners, watchers, pod supporters, there must be a collective noun for people who follow podcasts. If there isn't, can people make one up for us, please? Anyway,
yeah, in the comments below,
in the comments, wherever.
Yes, you know where to put your answers. Polite ones only.
Yes,
Actually, the rude ones would be quite fun as well.
Yes. We might not read those out though. Yes. So first and foremost, Phil, how long have you been a Northampton Saints supporter? Teddy, you're very close to the camera there.
That's eye is quite.
Sorry, say that again, Liz.
How long have you been a Saints supporter?
A Saints supporter?
Yeah.
All my life.
Brilliant.
As long as I can remember. I've been a season.
So that's about 53 years then.
Not quite that long. I'm not that far off of it, actually. That's the sad thing.
Sorry, I couldn't
7
resist.
years off. 7 years. 7 years. But yeah, no, I was born in Northampton, but I grew up in Woburn Sands in central Bedfordshire. But I've always followed. Saints has always been my team. I've been a season ticket holder for 6 years now,
Right.
and it was just myself, and then it grew to my daughter wanted to come along, and then Laura wanted to come on, my wife, and now Henry's got his ticket, so it's a family affair.
Excellent.
And then my sister joined in, and then her husband came, and then my brother, then his family, and they're all there.
Blimey.
Just the princess.
And meanwhile, Mark Darbin's going, oh yeah, I've got that family nailed.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Right, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fans
Excellent. Excellent.
So 6 years.
Well-
It seems longer than that, to be honest.
Don't go too soon. Don't...
No, okay.
Well, I was lucky enough. When I first got my season ticket, I was just across the way from yourself, wasn't I, Liz?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the first time I went, and we could hear this almighty great noise. This, "Come on, you Saints!" And I looked over, and there was Liz.
Not what you were expecting, I believe.
Not quite what we were expecting. And then I think it was one day you were shouting, and then Henry, my little lad, who was only 5, 6 at the time, he started shouting as well, copying you.
Yeah, he did.
Leading the way, Mrs. Saunders. Well done. Educating the young from an early age. Very good. That's what we like to hear.
One time, and we had a noisy Bath supporter as well who was trying to outshout us. So I just let rip with a full-blown come on, you Saints. And I turned to him and said, and let that be an end to it. And I don't think he spoke again after that. Oh.
I had a funny story. We were playing Tigers in a cup game a few years back, and these two gents sat behind us were Tigers fans, and his wife turned and said to me, "I do apologise because he's very loud." And I just said, "It's fine, it's all right." And there was the guy you usually see him. He wears the old pith helmet.
Oh yes,
yeah.
And there's this Sean Gibson. I think he's one of the supporters club's top pods.
Yeah.
There's the blazer. It was those two, and he shouted. He sort of started shouting when Tigers came out, and then I just shouted louder. And I turned round and he looked at me and said, "Fair play." Well, they spent the whole game.
He didn't stand a chance, bless him.
No. But the best bit was we were hammering Tigers, and which is always good.
Yes.
And they spent most of the game playing match attacks cards with Henry.
Excellent.
So the good thing
Excellent.
Is they actually keep that every time they play. And I've been over to Tigers for the semi-final a couple of years ago, and every time they've been to the Gardens, they've always come over and looked me up and come to meet me since. So
excellent. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's the great part about rugby, that you make friendships across the clubs.
It is, yeah.
Even Tigers, which is great. So the reason you're here today is, of course, apart from the fact that you and Liz try and outshout each other at most games.
I never win. Never win.
No.
I'm glad you said that. I really am glad you said that.
Very true.
You are, of course, a recently retired. Sadly, yes, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Northampton Saints Wheelchair Rugby player.
Yep.
And I have taken many a picture of you. Yes, that was one of the... But he should have been
Not
concentrating on the game.
Not predictable.
Well, as he's scoring a try, can you imagine? Can you imagine Mitch or Oh, actually, there's me bubble. It's gone off again on me. On me.
You always say aim for the red hat.
Aim for the red hat. But can you imagine that? Anybody doing that as they're scoring? You could imagine what Dow's
Swanner nearly did.
I was going to say.
But he did that post game. He did the post scoring.
Just
not Phil. Phil does it as he's crossing the line.
Don't worry, it doesn't happen very often, or it didn't happen very often.
So the question I've got is, how did it come to be? How did it come to pass that Phil Gutteridge played for Northampton Saints Wheelchair Rugby?
Well, so about 3.5 years ago, I had a surgery on my back. I've got degenerative disc disease, and I've ended up with this cauda equina syndrome, which had a massive effect on my mobility. And I used to coach the kids rugby at Ampthill, because both my kids played there. And just being around the club again, because I used to go when I was a kid. But one thing, I was in the army for a number of years as well, so I never really sort of played myself, but I've always been a massive rugby fan. And just being around the rugby club as a coach and being part of the team, so to speak, and part of the club, it was huge. And it was something I thought I'm too old to take up a new sport now. And I very nearly, they kept trying to get me to play for the Vets, but I very nearly thought it was a good idea. As it turned out, it probably wouldn't have been a good idea.
No.
It just came about. Everybody always says, I've heard, back from 2012 when it was in the Paralympics, he said, "Oh, you should watch Wheelchair Rugby. It's great," which I did, and I've always liked it. And then somebody mentioned it, that there was to have a look at playing. So I just looked at which clubs had a wheelchair rugby team, and where I am, I'm right in the middle between Stoke Mandeville and Northampton Saints. So I looked, there was only one. To be fair, I could have been the other end of the country, and I'd still come to the Saints anyway. And I phoned, I emailed, I got on the website, I emailed Jamie Higgins, and he invited me over to a training session. And he said, you get a number of free sessions and then you have to sign up and everything. From the minute I walked in the door, I was met with the mercurial Jerry Mack, and my life's never been the same since. In a good way. It's no, I got in the chair, and I've got big hands. I bent down, picked the ball up in one hand, and Jerry just said to me, he says, he's a keeper. We need him. And I got long arms, so apparently that was it was a good thing. But from the minute I was there, the people that were there in the team, it was nobody looks at your ability or disability or different ability, as we always say. It just doesn't even, because we're all in the same boat. We've all had some sort of life event or illness or something like that, and it's just you're part of the gang sort of straight away. And that was that. Once I was in, I was hooked. I was never going to go anywhere else either.
Excellent. Yes, because your playing career as a wheelchair rugby player you're a one-man club, which we are very proud of you for. No, well done.
Or even
well
a one club man, even. One-man club.
One club man.
Yes.
Yeah.
One-man club.
Whatever.
Club.
Yeah. Club man.
Yeah. It sounds like he wanders around. He sounds like he wanders around with the bad golf clubs, thinking, "I'm sure I'm supposed to have more."
Yeah, well, I was going to say you've seen my golf. What is there anything that you can define that you most enjoyed about wheelchair rugby? Is there an essence that you think that's what makes it?
I love the fact that it's the contact.
Right.
And just because you're disabled doesn't mean you can't, what other sport do you get to hit disabled people around the court? And that's what we always say.
Yeah.
It's discussed it harsh, but
get used to the black humour, Liz.
No.
Very much so. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
no. But it's what you guys do. I mean, it's the sort of you can. Yes.
Everybody's different. Everybody has a different level of injury or physical ability, but we're all the same. We're all on court, and there's a brilliant camaraderie, like in any team sport. But it can be.
You guys have a particular view of the world, so the comments like, "Well, I've lost one leg, so so if I lose the other one, don't worry." Yeah, you get that sort of comment regularly. Yes. Yeah, I used to have 5 fingers. I've only got, 4 now. But if I lose another one, yeah.
Well, to be honest, when that happens, and people have said it, it's, well, if now something's injured, it's they get excited because that brings my classification down, and I can,
Brilliant.
and I can maybe.
So for those who don't know classifications in wheelchair rugby, the smaller the number, the higher the level of disability. And so very able in the sense of skilled wheelchair rugby players with a low score are much sought after.
Right.
So, so that's why getting a low number is a good thing. Yes. But not that the coaches wish people to go out and start losing limbs.
No, but
yes.
to look for the silver lining in the black cloud, then that's okay, all right.
Yeah, you got it.
Definitely.
And have you got? Sorry, Claire. Just say.
Go for it.
I was going to say, I think I know what the answer is going to be, but those who don't know, what would be your highlight of your wheelchair career?
Easily beating Tigers in the Premiership final and winning the Premiership.
Yeah.
First time of asking.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
100%.
Yeah, it was.
We started off that season because we just won the championship the year before, which is when I joined. So I actually made my competitive debut in the team at the Premiership, round 1 of the Premiership. And because it's a tournament-based sport. So the fixtures are all tournament based. So we'll play 4 games in one day. So everybody plays each other, and our target was to stay up. Tigers were at the top. They've been around for 20 years, and they've got one of the top Paralympic version sides, which is the Rugby Fours. They've got international players and all this sort of stuff, and Invictus Games players, and there are lots and lots of experience. So our competition was not them. So our competition was in the middle of the table to make sure we're not relegated, we hold our own, and we can build on, keep building. And so I actually made my debut on court against Tigers. He put me on court against Tigers, and talk about baptism of fire. But we held our own. We didn't win, but we held our own, and it was just the best feeling just being on the court. And actually, I was 44 then. At my age, I was like, I've been going to the kids. So I've got into that thing of taking the kids and watching them, and in being, and enjoying it, and the pride and passion that they have for their sport. But to me, to do it again was just, I can't really put it into words. It's somewhere I never thought I'd be, especially, I had the Saints badge on, and I was representing the club. Was just, I was pinching myself, really. It was a dream come true.
And that season, you developed as a team very, very quickly, didn't you?
I did, but to be fair, I benefited from the experience of all the other players. They learnt from the beginning, because the club's only 6 years old, and they came into it like the people like Jerry and Casey, Steve and Gary, Reese. Those guys were all there from the beginning. So I've kind of had to get up to speed with them at a very sort of quick rate. And I found, to blow my own trumpet, I wasn't too bad at it.
You were very good at it. The only thing that Phil didn't do that Reese does, Reese is powered by Haribo, if you remember that. Yeah. So
not
Reese's
pikelets.
disability, not pikelets. No, Reese's disability means occasionally he has to take on sugar, and very quickly. So literally, I don't think if Jamie Higgins could have stuffed any more Haribo into him, he was just literally like this to get him back on court. Because it is an incredibly physical, as I think Phil's, but also your fitness level needs to be pretty good to keep going for as long. Because you can think the physical effort, you're moving yourself and you're having to play a sport is quite considerable. It's
a completely different thing that a few years or a couple of years leading up to my injury, I through Amptill, we were doing touch rugby in the summer. We were just, so it was like everyone welcome kind of thing, just for a bit of exercise, bit of fun, just being social, and it was great. But getting into the chair and being on court is a whole different ball game. It's that thing I was still fairly new to the chair. I wasn't using it as much then, but now I'm in it all the time. But you get used to that. Your body needs to get used to the actual physical, the physicality of pushing the chair.
Yeah.
But then you're looking and you're scouting, got to work out, you've got to call for the ball, you've got to pick the ball up, you've got to catch it, pass it, block that player, and it's just
and hit somebody randomly.
To be fair, that's my.
And then look out for the woman in the red hat with the thumbs,
I struggle with all that and walking rugby, let alone trying to propel myself around in a chair.
The other thing you get used to seeing is, these guys have taped hands, don't you? So you wear builder's gloves and then you tape your wrists. So you have, you've got big hands anyway, but when you put them in builder's gloves, they're like balloons on the end of your arms.
Lots of green
tape,
all around your fingers.
Then, so you've got to propel, and that's obviously to protect your fingers.
Yeah.
And also to get some grip, I would imagine, on
Well, my first session, they gave me some gloves and they said, "Do you want some tape?" And I was like, "No, I'll be okay." So I'm pushing up and down, and then I went to stop, and I put my hands on the wheels to stop, but of course, the gloves just gripped onto the wheels, and the wheels carried on going. They just ripped the gloves off my hands. And I just looked at Jamie, and he said, "Do you want the tape now?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Mind you, he could talk. Wasn't it the first time he got into a chair? So we should say that Jamie Higgins, who's the wonderful coach, head coach of the Saints Wheelchair Rugby team, he's only once, I understand, got into the chair to actually try and play, and he managed to break his wrist.
Yeah,
so he can hardly talk.
He did get into the chair to do... Because when I initially joined, we were training at the church, in the church hall, and then we used to do captain's runs at KLV over in Kettering.
Yeah.
And he decided, I'm going to get in the chair and do a bit of the warm-up and the fitness. And after 10 minutes, he got out the chair and he says, "Do you know what?" He said, "I've got so much more respect for you lot now." He said, "That's hard." And that was just our warm-up. We have to play, and sometimes playing 4 games in one day. They're only like 24 minutes a game, but it's a
tough old game.
It is
a tough old game.
Excuse me a minute. Just got to rip my bag off. The boss needs the key.
Oh right.
Keep my life in my little bag on the front of my wheelchair, and it's like.
We could do one of those, couldn't we, Liz?
The kids call it my little handbag.
A little bag at the front. Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So I'm going to ask you the next question, but you've got to answer it in 2 ways. Right?
Okay.
One way you're going to like, and the other way you're going to hate. Right? Oh. So the question I'm going to ask you is, who's your favourite Saints player? But you have to pick your favourite Saints player as the first 15, yeah? But then you have to pick your favourite Saints Wheelchair Rugby player.
Oh,
that's harsh.
Oh, that's no. And your favourite child following that?
Yes.
Henry.
Oh. I did. It didn't take long there, did it? Whoa!
Oh my!
Trouble
God.
in the Gutteridge. Trouble in the Gutteridge household.
I thought she was there, but she's gone for a driving lesson, so she didn't do it.
Excellent. Right. Yeah. So, favourite Saints player?
Favourite Saints player of all time, or
however you want to play it? But the wheelchair rugby player has to be a Saints one. You can't go randomly picking a Team GB one.
I've got that one.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Saints first. No surprise, I've been a Courtney fan from day one. I think he's absolutely immense, and somebody who's just it's like a fine wine. And watching him play, and it's a privilege this year watching him play. It's it's phenomenal. So I think people play. I've always liked the forwards. I was a bit of a forward myself in my younger days. I like the grafters, like the Warriors. Tom Woody's always been up there, and he's a good bloke as well. Out the youngsters, though, there's some good youngsters, and I can't really call any of them. I just seem so old. Now, the younger they get, the older I get. That's the problem.
Gets worse.
I was going to say, welcome to the club, and you're still 20 years-ish behind me and Liz. So
I'm sure it's not that much.
Anyway, moving
on.
So you think Courtney would be your all-time?
Yeah. Courtney. Yeah. The other one I was going to mention of all time is probably I did like Tim Robber as well.
Oh yes, well.
Oh, hopefully I will see the mighty Tim next week at the former players' lunch. Yes.
Ah, yes. Do you know what it was at Tim Robber that first made? It was a first memory, and I can't remember who we were playing. but he went into a mall, I think it was, and somebody had given him one, and he stood up, and then there was 2 or 3 guys, and he just battled the 3 of them. Just absolutely just destroyed them. Back in the old days when it was a telling off.
At the old days, yes, back in the old days.
When there was
which they are fondly talk about next week, I'm sure.
That was just, I thought, well, there's a warrior.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're not escaping the second part of the question. Wheelchair rugby player?
Well, I'm going to have to say, as much as I love Jerry and everybody else, I think my favourite player, because he's turned into one of my best friends as well, is Mike Nixon. A lot of people know
the
Mike,
mighty farmer.
Wheelchair farming. He's what he does is just inspirational. The things he's constantly posting things on Instagram and things on the social media, and all of it is just to inspire people to, there's life after injury, but watching him grow he started, I think it was about 6 months after me.
About 3 years ago.
I'm a defence player, so I play in a pick chair, and there's only a few of us there, so I tend to get quite a lot of court time. And I used to, my first season, I was kind of Darren Coote, the Badger. I was his kind of, understudy, I suppose you could say. I would sort of be in his role. He's now obviously retired because he's so old. He's not much older than me either.
I told you the insults would start.
Yeah.
No, the Badger. We miss the Badger, but
we do miss the Badger. Yes.
Yeah. So I would be in his role, and then so last season it went the other way. So he was sort of stepping back, and I was going forward, sort of getting more court time. But Michael's in an attack chair, and we have a lot of players in those positions, and he doesn't get court time as much as he would like, because it is difficult. But watching him build, and the amount of extra work he puts in, he would hire out Benham Sports Hall, and I'd go up with him. We'd do our own extra training, either at weekends or during the week, that kind of thing. But his dedication to it, and he reaches out to so many people amongst the wheelchair community, wheelchair rugby community as well. But being on court with him it's brilliant. It's such a pleasure, because when we work together. So he's got my back, I've got his back, and we've always worked really well together. And so I would, not just for the gameplay kind of thing, for the whole thing, he's the one for me.
So Michael is a farmer, and he, as you say, he does a huge amount of work. He had a back injury about 3 years ago, and I remember when he joined, and he was incredibly nervous. He was sort of looking for a sport, I think, that he could get his teeth into, and he tried all sorts of things, and he was a bit down, I think, unsurprisingly, given what had happened to him. He had a lot of challenges. How do you run a farm with a young family? And the work that he's done and his wife's done are just absolutely amazing. The way he works with the wider community.
He's got a gym as well now. He's
built a gym on his farm, so you can go to.
Inclusive. Yeah, and he's actually, so he's got, he's now got a school for children with disabilities that actually come in on a Friday to use his facilities as a gym. So he closes it just for them.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
It's watching him, not the business side of it. It wasn't for the financial business side of it. He, I was there around the time that he kind of got the sort of go ahead. You'll go from that school, and just I think it was the pride in it, and the fact that, and the knowledge that he's doing something that's going to help other kids and other people. Yeah, it It's very inspirational.
Yeah, and the thing I think I find most inspiring about you guys, you can blush now if you want, is it's not a thing where you have a challenge and that's it, and then you live with that challenge. All of you have ongoing challenges. So Michael was recently very, very unwell, and ended up in hospital, and has in and out of hospital. And yet in all that time, he was still doing all his work, still doing all the stuff on the farm. I mean, I love looking at his farm videos because how do you chase a lamb in a wheelchair? It's hilarious. And it's his humour whilst he's chasing this lamb round his farm. And how he solves... Yeah, Teddy. You know all about that. Yeah. Hello, Teddy. Yeah, top dog. Yeah.
So for those of you listening, Teddy is a lovely dachshund, and he keeps appearing. So Teddy is, he's a
and
sausage.
Teddy is a huge
dog.
Yeah, looking very sausage
dog, as we've just
very
seen.
Very long sausage dog. Yeah. And Teddy's often at tournaments, so he's a loyal Saints supporter. So
I need to get him
a great call on Michael Nixon because he has. And he's a great player. He's working incredibly hard.
He does. He works.
And he's got a battle against some real talent. So I'm sure that's pushing him on. Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna leave Liz to ask the next question, so I get the last question.
So you get the last question. Yes. So it's quite simple. What is your cake of choice?
Chocolate.
Just a plain chocolate sponge.
Chocolate sponge, yeah.
Yeah, with a bit of buttercream.
Chocolate or buttercream? Just chocolate ice cream. Buttercream.
Buttercream. There you go.
That's
Very
my
good.
favourite. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know when one might turn up.
Yeah.
When I'm not making industrial quantities of pikelets and stuff.
So I've got a question of my own, actually.
Go on then, far away. Oh, very good. Yeah.
What is the pikelet?
What's a pikelet?
Yeah.
It's like a flat crumpet. So you know how crumpets are deep. So it's a similar mixture, but you don't cook them in a mould, so they're shallower, and so that's a pikelet.
And our erstwhile hooker is powered by them.
Mr. Langdon,
Mr. Langdon, yes. So the most important question of all, and I think you started to answer it actually, is, and how delightful, I'll get the wording exactly right, Liz, and how delightful are the people who sit near you at the gardens?
Well, funnily enough, Mike Nixon sits next to me.
Okay.
I mean, now, because I'm in the same area, I just my sister, all my family sit up in the seats, and I have to sit at the bottom of the steps in the disabled bay.
As I scuttle past you.
In danger of it.
Yeah. I always never see the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes of each half.
And
I'm sorry, I do move as fast as I can.
No, not you.
Not you. It's everyone else.
Yeah. And in danger of being killed by a kick to touch from time to time as well.
Nobody saw, I can't remember the game it was, before Christmas. I was sitting there and the ball came over and I was like, that's coming my way. And I just reached up with one hand, caught the ball, brought it down, and I got the biggest cheer of the game.
Oh, wow. Which game was that?
Yeah. And I gave the ball back and I just waited for everyone to settle down. And I looked at Laura and I said, really hurt.
Which game was that?
Was it one of the cup games? One of the European games?
No, because I missed.
You missed a few because you were hors de combat.
I missed the Toulon and
Bayonne.
No, I was there. That was my first game back.
Was it Bayonne then?
Yeah,
Bayonne? Probably Bayonne by the sounds of it.
Maybe. Yeah, I can't remember. But last week I actually moved because Michael wasn't there. I moved into his space, and two balls would have been right where my head was.
So you would have been flattened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
well, there you
obviously
go.
I have the wonderful Liz a few rows behind me.
Thank you. Got there in the end.
Keeping everyone in touch.
And relax.
Well, we do have because we do have quite a rugby family around there, don't we, Phil?
Yeah.
There's sort of loads of us. Some of us have been sitting
This
there.
is in the church's stand.
This is in the church's stand, and there's
Do you rattle your jewellery? You know?
No, you've heard I make a lot of noise. Our bit is quite noisy for the church's stand.
Yes,
so.
I can hear you from the other side of the pitch.
Yeah,
And I'm not kidding. Your dulcet tones, Ms. Saunders, do sometimes echo out across the ground. I've got hubby on one side and you on the other.
My excuse is that my grandfather was a regimental sergeant major, so it's somehow in the genes that we can
It's
just
in the
project.
genes. Well, there you go. Well, there you go.
Possibly explains my slight bossiness as well, but some might say.
That's her excuse, and she's sticking to it.
I'm not taking a comment on that one.
Oh, he's taking the fifth. He's taking the fifth.
He's very wise.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
and
you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you at the gardens. And and Liz, I think you need to do without adding to your pikelet numbers. I think, as well as the chocolate cake order, I think there's been placed this afternoon. I think you might need to deliver a little pikelet to Mr. Gutteridge, so he knows what being powered by pikelet really means.
And you toast them, and then you serve them with a topping of your choice, which can be if you're a hooker, it's eggs of any sort. If you're my husband, it's peanut butter and Marmite. I mean, other people like peanut butter or Marmite or jam. Jam and Marmite, definitely not. But yeah, whatever. Bananas.
I like Marmite and I like peanut butter, but not together.
Well, apparently
there you go.
It's Mrs. Litchfield thinks it's marvellous as well. So there are at least two people in this world who think it.
And I'm not going to cross Anna Litchfield. Sorry, I'm not that brave.
So yes, so that's I was. Yeah. When are we next? When are we next there?
It must be Stormers on March 9th.
Yeah.
And then it's Sale Sharks on the 15th. So
yeah.
Brilliant. Well, before I do go, I just want to say thank you to you as well for all your kind words when I was in hospital. It was very much appreciated.
Well, we need to look after our own. And
for my VIP visitor that...
yes, your visitor, your special visitor. Yes. Well done him.
Yes,
yes, absolutely.
I was very shocked.
We thought you might be.
Yeah. Yeah, just a shame you were discharged from hospital before the next one came. Really, wasn't it?
Well, we saw Lewis, didn't we?
Yeah,
and Lewis was he was going to bring some of the boys down and to come and see me in hospital after the boss.
Well, what we wanted to happen was a photograph of all your different bits of engineering. What with,
Yeah, we wanted all the trio of hobbling wingers to go down, so you could all compare bits that weren't working properly, but it was not to be.
Yes, because we were clearly keeping, various bits of industrial engineering companies in business that month. So,
braces we have known. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
I've also ordered a new nameplate for the house as Hazard Alley.
Quite right too.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Phil.
We'll see you at the gardens very soon. We're going to do what you do on video now. Should we wave? There we go. Wave.
Yeah. Love to all the family, Phil, and we'll see you at the Stormers.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Take care.
Farewell. There you go. Bye. There he goes. Oh, well. Oh, that lovely having our Phil join us.
Our Phil for our first guest. That was absolutely brilliant.
Yes, yes. Yeah, brilliant. Well done. How are you, Mrs. Saunders?
I'm very well. I've just about recovered from watching Bedford do not very well against.
Well, we need to talk about that in a minute. But we thought we'd start with England and Scotland.
Well, England and Scotland, yes. So, England. Well, apart from being completely mystified as to why you wouldn't put the red hot halfback partnership on together, well, why wouldn't you? I don't know. I thought this Italy team are going from strength to strength. I mean, I wonder if now they no longer have to play what's his face that was there forever. They're able to be a little more adventurous, and they certainly seem to be looking like they've got even more steel than they had. They're never going to be easy to beat in Rome, are they? And we are still the only team in the Six Nations who hasn't lost to them in Rome. I would just like to remind everybody.
Everyone forgets, although they had a disastrous World Cup, France nearly lost to them last year.
Yes, yeah,
and that was in Paris.
Yeah,
so they have this knack of bringing, pulling out all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. It was always going to be that first game. I mean, England notoriously, even when they were flying, are slow starters. We've always been slow starters. So we were never going to be in fifth gear.
And Italy played played some beautiful rugby, I thought.
They did. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. And clearly, England have gone, right, we have to go 26-0 down, and then it starts to...
Let's see, we're playing the Saints.
So the Saints way. So they clearly lost their nerve at 17-0.
Yeah.
And decided to start playing. But you only have to look at the performance of somebody like Tommy Freeman to know that it was, it was absolutely, it was Saints through and through.
It was
some of the things he was doing.
And Mitch for his try.
Mitch. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to confuse you because even I don't know where I'm going. So why would you know where you're going?
I'll just go run around in a circle and I'll head that way.
I'll do a quick pirouette and look over the line I am. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So I don't think we can. I actually watched it again because we were watching it at Bedford on hubby's phone.
Yeah.
Yes. So I watched it again just to see what happened, and the substitutions did not make sense. It was quite bizarre,
ridiculous.
Anyway, and of course the game lost its shape, and it was all a bit. Interestingly, I heard Richard Wigglesworth being interviewed this morning.
When you say interestingly. When you say
he was.
He was
interesting. He was working hard at being dull, but he was actually quite interesting.
Okay.
So he was saying one of the things he was saying was actually our game plan has changed in some very important ways, and one of them is Fraser Dingwall. And congratulations to Fraser for making his debut.
Dingers,
yeah, well done, Dingers. Because he's an Ollie Lawrence. He's never going to be an Ollie Lawrence, but he does get our backline moving not in a big bash bosh way. It's a much more subtle pulling the defence around way.
Yeah.
And Wigglesworth was at pains to say the game plan is different, and Dingwall is not going to play the way other bigger 12s play, that Bosch merchant up the middle, which I thought, that's interesting that he's pulled that out, because that's him saying, we are gonna be a bit more subtle in how we, because he's never going to be that Bosch merchant, and so be it, because he creates the space for the likes of Freeman and Furbank and Smith and whoever, because he is such a clever footballer. But I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, Dingers,
Wigglesworth,
top 2 inches with Dingers is just amazing, really.
He's utterly fearless, and he's had to be so patient.
Yes,
to get so well done, Dingers. Finn Smith did eventually get on for about a nanosecond.
Yeah,
and the game had lost its shape, so he really did get a chance to show his work. But I was delighted that the Smith family at last get their English rose, so we can put to bed the Scottish saltire argument. That's gone. Likewise with poor Gordon Dingwall is going to have to put to bed the old Scottish aspirations.
I think Andrew and Judith had sort of realised quite a long time ago that Finn was going to play for England if he was going to play anywhere. It was. I don't think there was any doubt in Finn's mind that where he was going. So, but no, it was good, and I suppose the thing is, if I'm being kind and about the way the selections were used, it's got that first cap thing out of the way for Finn now. It's sort of it's lost a lot of the Marcus or Finn Smith malarkey, because that first cap now is done, dusted, and we can move on up to the next one. But I mean,
so well done, the guys, and it's a win in Rome, which is not easily sought. So, and at Wales this weekend, which I'm sure we'll talk about next week. After the game. And then Scotland. There were 2 times when I got emotional this weekend. One was seeing Fraser get his debut.
Yes.
For England. And the other one was Elliot Millar-Mills. It's only a year ago that Elliot was stood. I was at a training session and they were training unusually in the main stadium. Yeah. And I was chatting to Liz Tyler, and there was Elliot stood looking a bit forlorn and a bit fed up, waiting to get onto the pitch to train. And I said, "Who is he?" She said, "Oh, he's from Wasps. It's Elliot Millar-Mills. He's from Wasps, and he's trialling with us." And just over a year later, here he is making his international debut. And I got a bit emotional because I thought, well done, Elliot. But actually, well done, Saints. Well done, Matt Ferguson. For, investing in him. Well done, the club, for investing in him. And, and Elliot taking his chance.
Yes.
Because he did. He absolutely took his chance. And, I got a tad emotional when that number 18 ran onto the pitch, probably humming as he went.
Yes.
And then the bit that really got me was the debutants did the trophy lift. There was this little trophy.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then Elliot with the trophy lift. That just did for me completely. I was gone. So So that was great. And well done him.
They were playing Scotland a bit like the Saints way, when we'd get a lead and then let others catch up with us.
Yeah, because it's not fair if we, we really pull away. We want to give them a fighting chance. Yes.
Oh God, dear God! I was going to say, we have to mention
one other player, don't we? Well, there's a couple actually we need to mention.
Yes,
there's a couple.
Yes,
and it's good to see one of them is back in the squad. Actually, there's 3. I've got it wrong. It's 3. Well played, the England under-20s.
Oh, good Lord, yes. Whoa.
And particularly well played, Henry Pollock.
Absolutely. If you haven't watched it, find it. It's on YouTube. England under-20s and Henry Pollock is just amazing. There are many words to describe him. There are almost too many words to describe him. Outrageous being one of them, and just so talented and fast and brilliant, and just go and watch it. And he's ours.
Go and watch it. Absolutely brilliant. The other player that we need to is Craig Wright. How quick is that lad?
Yes.
He's a hooker, for God's sake. And he was rampaging around that wonderful Treviso pitch.
Yeah.
I love that stadium.
Yeah. I was very jealous that was where they were.
Yes, I did think of that. We're back to that bus ride again. I did think that hedge. I was looking to see if there were any, Prosecco bottles stuck in the hedge. But I love that stadium. But Craig Wright, whoa, he's so quick. And, another future talent, plying his trade. He's been playing a few games at Bedford, as is Henry, actually. But well done him. He took his chance as well. And big hug, I think, to Archie McParland, who was supposed to start.
That was heartbreaking.
That picture of it, that footage of him walking back across the pitch, very forlorn. The great news is, I've literally just before we started recording the pod, I happened to catch a glimpse of this weekend's England under-20 squad, and he's starting at 9. Archie is starting at 9.
That's fantastic.
So hopefully we see him this weekend, because he cut a very forlorn.
He did. He pulled up in the warm-up
last week,
and he did look very, very woebegone at the end.
Yes, but he's playing. And he's another one. I mean, we're saying England under-20s. These guys are 18.
Yeah, they're 2 years.
And Craig's a little bit older, I think. But Henry and Archie are both 18, so they're ahead of their years.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. So yes, they are under 20, but by 2 years, not the normal sort of 20.
Yeah, so they're playing really, really well.
A big hugs to Hutch and Ferbs and Tom Pearson, who, still in the squads, but I'm not quite sure what they have to do to get on the pitch. But, No.
We'll
Hopefully,
see.
we will see.
We'll see. We will
Perhaps
see.
we were keeping our powder dry. Of course we weren't. Don't be ridiculous.
I love your optimism.
I know. I'm sorry. I hate myself sometimes. I'm such a Pollyanna. I do. I'm sorry. I know I irritate everybody, and I especially irritate myself with that one. But anyway, yes, talking.
Media watch. Should we do media watch now? Because we're in the.
Oh yes, blimey,
mode,
look east.
Or do you want to talk about Bedford?
No,
I think we'll pass over Bedford. It's one of those games where
best forgotten.
we'll just leave it there.
Wasn't
it there.
marvellous, but,
well played, yes. Well played, Cornish Pirates. Long way to come. Let's just move on.
So Media Watch.
Media Watch, yes.
Yeah. Look East. Look East just went bananas on Monday. Right, so there's some football played, but let's do the rugby first. You think the rugby? What, Bedford? And they're not... No, straight to Six Nations and all the Saints players and interviewing Mr. Dingwall Senior and... they're very bizarre on Look East, aren't they? Let's spend...
Well, more power to their elbow. They just keep going.
Yes.
Look East, that's right. You've got the right answer. Yes, it's been happening. Some of us have been watching this all season. Just keep going. Yeah. I mean, the Youngs brothers, ancient history.
Yes.
Yeah. Men of Bedford, men of Northampton. Keep going.
And also, when you think about them, so many of those, so they're concentrated on Finn Smith on Friday, which is ironic because he's not from the Look East area, rather than Dingers or Tommy Freeman, who both are from the Look East area. So you just do wonder who does their research. However, let's not knock it. Well done, Look East, for going a bit bonkers about rugby, but please carry on when the Six Nations is over, because a lot of people love Northampton Saints as well. So,
yes, indeed, indeed. So, and then I listened this morning to the Rugby Union Weekly session on England, featuring one Christopher Ashton and one Chris Jones. And I have to say I might have to listen to it again because my ears were doing something very weird, because it seems that Mr. Ashton has fallen in love with Mr. Tommy Freeman.
Oh, well. I was going to say,
to the point.
To be honest, he can join the queue. That's all I say.
Yes. To the point that the last time that I think the two of them played against each other, he was reminding Tommy. I think Tommy basically put him into the advertising.
I think he did. Yeah.
And when he got up, he thought, I'm going to feel that shoulder in the morning. Yes. So Tommy did a really good interview on the BBC, and I think one of the things that's come out on fair dues to Tommy for doing this is, of course, he suffers from epilepsy. So he talked much more about what happened over his epilepsy. I didn't realise it's only so he had episodes when he was a child, and they thought he'd grown out of it. Apparently, it's a childhood thing. They thought he'd grown out of it, and then a couple of years ago, he actually had an incident where put it this way, they didn't know whether his rugby career was going to continue.
Oh, wow.
So he had to go for it. Maybe sort of 3 years ago. But the thing with Tommy is he's another one that made his debut when he was about 12, it feels.
Yeah.
And of course, he made his debut. Chris Boyd was playing him in the senior squad during the COVID season. Oh, no, my thumb's back again.
Thumb's back again. Yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
In the COVID season, because I remember him playing
now, isn't he? So
exactly.
He was 18 when he made his debut.
Yeah.
Must have been
really, really young. Yeah. So he's been around. Anyway, around that time, I think that's when the incident happened. So they had to go for tests and all sorts. He wasn't allowed to drive for 2 years.
No.
Which he said was a pain when it came to sorting out the shopping. That's not what you expect a 21-year-old to be worrying about, I have to say. But anyway, fair dues to him. But it's brilliant that elite sportsmen like Tommy talk about these things, because it says your life isn't over. Yes. There is a way forward. There are things that you can do. He's got a clean bill of health. He'll be on medication for the rest of his life, but he can now drive. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but anyway.
Well,
But,
it's like Henry Slade with his diabetes as well, isn't it?
Exactly,
It's
yeah.
just if people who have these issues talk about them, for young people growing up who can see that it's not necessarily a restriction on what you want to do if you manage it, and the trick is about managing it, not ignoring it, because I know there's I've worked with young people where they'll have had a diagnosis of something and they just want to shove their head in the sand and refuse to deal with it at all. So the more people like Tommy and Henry Slade talk about things, then the more chances are that it becomes normal, just becomes part of life. So if people get a diagnosis of epilepsy or diabetes or something like that, they just go, well, that's me, that's who I am, and crack on with it. So it's really good. So I'll have to give that a listen. I must admit I haven't caught up with that, but I will listen to that.
It's definitely worth a listen. But so the general view, I think the media, well done. There's been lots of articles in the press about Tom, about Finn, about all sorts of stuff. So well done. The Saints lads are flying the flag. And of course, the other news this week was the departure at the end of this season of Lewis Ludlam.
Yes.
We absolutely, as we've said all along, we send him our love and our very best wishes. He has been the ultimate professional, the ultimate Saintsman. He's given everything, literally.
Yeah.
Throughout his time, and he's still got plenty of time to leave on a high, because and we send him our very best wishes, because we know that it would have been a really difficult decision for him to make, but it's the right time of life.
It's exactly the right time of life to go and enjoy. We're presuming we know where he's going, although that's not been announced yet. But I'm fairly certain that is. And I'm already can't wait for the fixture list to come out to see when we can fit in a trip down to the southeast of France. Possibly seeing Provence with Tamana and George North play as well.
Oh, yes. Did you see Tamana won an award?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yes, good on him.
Yeah, he's living his best life.
I don't know whether it's end of season or what it is, but he had some massive great award that he won. So well done, Mr. Harrison. Yes.
So, and I was going to say, it stings less when they go off to France than if, I did say to Lewis the other day about, we'd love you to stay, but if you have to go to France, I think he thought I was going to say something really nice. I said, you can just bugger off, because then you'll be dead to me. Which is, of course, is absolutely not true. And he did laugh and realise what I was saying. But it is, when they go to another Premiership club, it does feel more of a kick in the teeth than going off to France. Who wouldn't, really? Yeah, it's
yes.
So
Lewis, we're right behind you all the way for the rest of the season, and then Liz is organising Liz tours wherever you're going.
Yeah.
So if you want to escape, I wouldn't announce where you're going. I wouldn't announce where you're going.
My spies, I have contacts. I'll know where he's going. In fact, I know where he's going.
So it's a bit of a quiet time, except for it isn't. Is it this weekend?
No, not this weekend coming. And of course, can I just say that the Six Nations had no impact on Toaster under Nines.
I was going to say, what's that? How are they doing?
They played Banbury on Sunday, and Harry, when I spoke to him, was just, it was absolutely fantastic, Granny. It was like a war zone. Okay, it was like a war zone. Yes, my friend Max got tackled into the ground, and he came up and said, it's like a war out there, and it was absolutely brilliant. So Harry, who we wondered whether he would actually, even at 8, take the physicality of it, was just loving it and getting stuck in, and still had no idea whether they'd won or lost. But he's having an absolute ball.
He's going to go through the entire season not knowing whether
having no idea.
Some of us would love that sometimes. When phases
we'd
that we
love
go
to come
through.
away from places not caring whether we'd won or lost. Yeah. So,
yes.
But I just think it's brilliant down there. The coaches say they've got 42 players or so, over 40 players at
Wow.
under nines. And for the coaches to keep them all that keen, I think hats off to them. They're doing a grand job. Super fun.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. So this weekend is the very first East Midlands derby for Loughborough Lightning versus Leicester Tigers women at the Gardens. So Saints wonderfully won the one at Mattioli Wood Stadium at Welford Road or wherever it is. And now they're back at the Gardens. And Media Watch, well done to Graham for renaming the Saints show the Lightning show. Top work.
Yeah.
The top work. I'm looking forward to hearing that this evening.
Yes.
Absolutely. The Lightning women deserve recognition for the first East Midlands derby. I'll be there. I'm assuming you're going to be there, Mrs.
I think we're planning to be there, and then followed by the under-18s.
Under-18s who, if they win, they will go top, and they'll be in the final of the under-18s again.
Yeah,
wonderful stuff. So,
and they're playing
I'm really looking forward to that.
They're playing some amazing rugby, the under-18s as well. They're all playing the Saints way. Well, Henry Pollock is leading the charge on the youngsters, but the under-18s are taking his lead from what I've seen of some of the tries they've scored. So we could be double bill there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And they're going to be playing in the black, green, black, green and gold.
Yeah. Yes, the women are playing in that as well, which is really good to see. So I don't even know what time the internationals are on this weekend. I've not been paying attention. I know
it's during the under-8. I think it's during the under-18s.
Oh, right, okay.
I think the clashes.
Oh, so we might have to have somebody's phone on again.
Well, Dr. Jones has his uses.
Yes, Sherpa 1. So
Sherpa 1 has his uses. Sherpa 2 with Bedford Blues will be at Caldy at the rescheduled match after the frozen pitch earlier in the season. So he'll be in the north. I have elected, because I really want to see the Loughborough Lightning women. I've elected to go to the Gardens rather than the northwest, because, as I say, I wanted to see the women. And then tomorrow we have a bit of a do going on, don't we?
There is a bit of a do. Yes. I'm quite looking forward to getting into my posh frock and possibly drinking some fizzy pop and things.
Some fizzy pop. Yes, I will be wandering around with the camera. I'm in two minds whether to wear the hat, but nobody will know who I am if I don't wear the hat. So
we will. We could come round.
Yes, you will. But it's the players. Have you seen James Wilson's hair?
No.
Have you seen James Wilson's hair?
No, what's he done?
I caught a glimpse on Instagram. James playing recently in Japan at some game. It's bright blonde, spiky blonde. Unless I'm going mad, and it's yes. Oh, so wow. Yes.
Well, he was always slightly eccentric, wasn't he? But so it's the 10th anniversary of winning the Premiership dinner tomorrow night, which we are going to, just because an excuse to get out and wear a posh frock and eat. The menu looks very nice, actually.
Does it? Oh yes, it does. Yes, I was sent it because I should be sat on the staff table. Because
you're probably near us because we're in the cheap seats.
You're in the cheap seats. Well, I'll come and say hello. I'll come and
cheaper seats. Yeah.
So smile, everybody who's there tomorrow. And we must say thank you again to all our subscribers and listeners and followers and watchers and all the rest of it. It's been the people coming up to us at games, in fact, anywhere. I've had people coming up at Bedford games. But, it's really gratifying that people are enjoying the pod. So thank you ever so much for listening. As you can tell, we're having a blast.
Yes. And just one reflection on the Bedford game and people coming up and Alex Wolford discovering I was your partner in crime, that I hadn't realised, or I knew and then had forgotten that, of course, Alex Wolford is a Toaster lad.
Of course, yes.
Yes. So, yes.
Yeah. There are many of them about.
So happy days. So that's
happy days. So yes. So Ladies Wot Pod Episode 13. I think it's been an absolute belter.
It's been a bit different, isn't it? Our first guest.
It's been
more
a bit different.
guests to come. We're not telling you who they're going to be, though. In case any of them bail, we'll let you know.
We're recording the next one on Friday.
Yes, which should be fun, being as that's the day after the dinner.
Well, it was the only day. Anyway, that's my fault. But anyway,
it's all
we'll
right.
see what state our guest and you were in.
I think all of us who are in that pod will have been at the dinner, so that's going to be entertaining.
Some of us will have been working, though.
Well, yeah.
And driving.
Some of us won't either, doing either. So
if you're slumped in front of the camera.
If I'm slumped just drinking glasses of Coca-Cola, you'll know I'm not well.
She's not well.
I might, sometimes you can have a dodgy, there can be a germ on the glass. Or,
there could be, yeah.
A dodgy potato, something like that. You never know.
Or a petit four that goes, well over the top.
Yeah. Not enough water. But I will be drinking water, Kay. It's all right. We will be drinking water as well as everything else. So
yes.
We have a friend. We have a friend who is the water police, and she makes sure that we drink water. So whenever if you're on holiday and you send your mates a photograph of the meal you're having or the drinks you're having, you always have to include a glass of water. Otherwise, Sergeant Major Water Police gets onto us. So
yeah. And looks after us. Yeah. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Ladies Wot Pod, episode 13.
Catch up with you next week. Yes.
Yeah. For more fun and frolics.